and welcome back to the MC Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Anthony. My co-host right here is Kyle Heath. This is the show where we cover the last week's gaming industry related news. We're talking new and upcoming games, esports and personalities, general gaming industry related knowledge, and tech and innovation, like basically like stuff that we care about in the gaming sphere. What we're talking about this week is the Switch 2, new information. We got you can now borrow and possibly rent with Nintendo key codes, which was kind of a battle. We were trying to figure out what the heck's going on there, so we got new updates. There's also the game chat was super choppy, like 15 FPS, I would say. And Nintendo goes in to explain why that is the case in their showcase a couple of days, well, last week. And Xbox has a game showcase coming up that we heard a little bit more information on. And finally, we're going to dive into a little bit of like esports and degrees and what the industry might have. But before we get into it, Kyle, how you been, dude? How you going? Like, what's going on? I haven't really chatted with you. I feel like you and I have been just super busy in our
Yeah, pretty
personal
much.
lives and work lives. And I'm hoping you've like gamed a bunch this week. So tell me what's going on.
Yeah, I was trying. I mean, I think the only gaming I really did was probably Schedule One. Played some more of that. Um, I don't know. Yeah, so the past couple days I did go over to your home turf and saw a show. Saw a
Oh yeah, that's right.
little indie rock show. It was fun. So I did that. That was kind of my event. I've been off work the past few days, so just been kind of relaxing. Got a chance to do
Very
that.
sick.
So, yeah, I mean that took up of most of yesterday and today. So usually doing that. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, outside of that, I didn't have too much else going on. It's kind of just like trying to get as much work done as I could before I was off for the weekend and into this week. So I was really focusing on that. The only game I really did was Schedule One, so not too much else outside of that. Um, I don't know. I know, Mike, you got a little bit of Marvel Rivals, and I believe I saw you on. But outside of that, I don't
Oh
know. I
yeah,
know you've
dude.
been doing a bunch of live stuff, so
Yeah, in terms of life stuff, it's just works chaos. Boss quit, so got to
got you.
figure out what's going on there. It's not like super concerning. It's just one more hurdle that we have to take care of in terms of doing our own job. So that's like it's not even that he quit because it was bad there. It quit because he came up on a opportunity where even he told me about it, and I was just like, dude, if you don't go, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
told them that word for it. It's like, this is an opportunity
No.
you don't get often, so you got to go. So, good for him. Awesome for him. And it might leave me in a position where I get to take on more responsibility and, like promotion possibly like stuff that's like floated around but you don't really know the full details still in discussion, so that's like IRL stuff. I'm also moving, so the next time you guys see me I will be in a completely different location. If you only listen to us on audio, that it doesn't concern you. It's all going to be the same. All the hardware is coming, so you
Yeah.
won't even be affected. Outside of that, man, gaming wise, I got back on Halo 2 again. They're trying to put together like some online tournaments here and there. I also have to be ready and planning for the LAN that we're having at the lake. That's going to be in town, and just getting prepared for that because I gotta bust out the old Xbox. I can't just show up completely cold turkey and get bullied by a bunch of guys that are phenomenal at the game, you know.
Yeah.
So, got to get ready for that. And then also, yeah. So I was playing Halo 2 a little bit more. Played a lot of Marvel Rivals, and proud to say I finally got solo queued up to Grandmaster. So that's awesome. I'm pretty proud. But here's the thing, dude. One of the things in matchmaking I've noticed, I swear if you're about to go to like the next tier of whatever the game is, like whatever not game, whatever the rank is of the next tier. So it's like if you're top of plat and your next one's diamond, that transition from plat to diamond are all sweaty games. And they're like super unbalanced. And it was the same thing. And then once you get into diamond, it was like, oh, it's easy. So I
That's
had the
so
same exact
funny.
thing. I'm at like the top of diamond, and then I get a grand champ, and then my first couple of games of grand champ, I'm like, this is easy. This is like no different. It's easier. And in fact, there were multiple times I was like, we're really gonna go with no healer? Like what? You know, like everybody just throws the meta out the world. Like it made no sense to me. I thought it was crazy. I also found a couple of people that were like super high ranked on console, and they don't play that many games. I'm like, how is that even possible to
Yeah,
be
that's
ranked
crazy.
so high? And I look at their stats, and I'm like, their stats aren't really that impressive. So I don't know what's going on, but who knows? They must have found something out early on, and it worked out for them,
Yeah,
whatever it was.
some fishy business going on. Sounds like
Yeah, dude. It feels like it,
some sus
but
behavior.
it's been very fun. I think to get up to Grandmaster is always nice. I did the same thing in Rocket League, and once I get to that level, if I go any further, I really need to start grinding, and I probably need to start playing with people, at least using the mic a little bit more and stuff like that. Like really get into the competitiveness of esports and ranked matchmaking. I don't know if I'm up for that challenge yet. Right now, I'm having a lot of fun. They're making balance changes for the next season that starts like less than a week, uh, and they're buffing literally all of my favorite characters. So I'm like, dude, I think I'm gonna get better.
Yeah, maybe.
It's gonna be a good time. Yeah, I'm just playing quick play with some buddies, keeping in contact. It's a really good game to just chat and like play if you don't care that much. Because to me, I don't really care about winning or losing. The matchmaking is gonna force you at 50% anyway. So who
Yeah.
cares?
Yeah, I mean, that's true, yeah. I was thinking about those games, it's like, especially after, like, all, like, especially with something like Halo Infinite, you're just seeing those algorithms
Oh,
that they
jeez.
have and, like,
Ugh.
how 50/50 like, dedicated that is, and yeah, and I feel like that's, like it makes sense that most games implement a similar model. It's, like, trying to keep you at that middle ground,
Yeah.
you know?
Especially when you have games where it's very monetary. Like the battle pass is how they make most of their money.
Yeah.
Like Marvel Rivals is a free to play game, so is Halo Infinite. So they always want to have you on the game, and they got to do whatever they can to keep you there. So it's like you got to have them chasing that win, and when they do lose, they can't get off on a loss. They have to keep playing, like whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, you can't make them win too much because then you start getting bored, right? But then you
yeah,
start climbing the
exactly. At least that's
ranks.
the theory,
So,
where I could just
it's
clap
like
people all day and I'll be fine.
I mean, yeah, like I mean that's the thing. It's like, or if you like climb ranks, eventually you think you would hit your skill level at a certain point. Um, I don't know.
You definitely do, I think. Uh, there's there's definitely a base skill that people can get when it comes to like mechanics, and you can really get to that level of like, okay, I'm totally in tune with my settings. I know everything that I need to do mechanically. I'm like a one-on-one machine. But there's a different element when you have to communicate effectively with your mic, where you have to make decisions based for the team, not for just your play. It's like sometimes you will make the wrong play for yourself, but it means your team will win. It's like it's
Yeah,
different that way, And that goes across all games. So it's very interesting. I'm kind of excited to see if the end of the article or like the end of the episode when we get into the article about esports degrees, if they address any type of thing like that, or if it's all going to be mostly the business side of esports and like running leagues, running
yeah.
land centers, and running organizations. So
We'll have to see.
yeah,
We'll have to see. Oh.
yes, sir. But what do you got for us? You want to start us off with the first article? I almost said first episode again. First article, please.
Let's get into it, dude. I'm ready. Um, so yeah, dude, we have a couple of Switch 2 updates that have released over the past couple weeks as
Oh yeah.
people started to dig a little bit deeper into Nintendo, and we're getting responses on some questions that people had about the showcase that happened last week. So this first one's from Andrew Lazuski over at The Verge. You can borrow and resell Nintendo Switch 2 game key cards. Nintendo confirms that Switch game key card downloads aren't locked to a specific Nintendo account. So he goes on to say, following the reveal of the Nintendo's new game key cards during its Nintendo Switch 2 event last week, we're finally getting more details about why they exist and how they can be used. Although they don't contain a physical copy of the game, Nintendo's Tetsuya Sasaki explained to GameSpot that game key cards aren't permanently tied to a specific Nintendo account. The games can be inserted and played on any Switch 2 console, allowing them to be borrowed, rented, or even resold. So key cards will start up on the console or system that it is slotted into, so it's not tied to an account or anything. So
That's so good, man. I was really
yeah,
concerned about that.
yeah,
It sounded like Nintendo was trying to get rid of the third party market.
yeah. It kind of seemed like that, right? But yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's really good. I mean, it sucks. I mean, it kind of sucks, I guess, that there's no actual game on the card. Like that part's
Yeah,
kind of sucks, but the reshare kind of saves it a little bit, I think, for not just being a total wash.
yeah, I think it is, but it isn't, man. It's just I prefer the game cartridges, but maybe they're gonna address it in this article. The
Mm,
games, most games and modern titles, they just got so big. They got too big for the cartridges,
it's
too
true.
big for the
Yeah,
CDs.
yeah, it's
But at
true.
the same time, man, it's like the CD now is like your license to the game, and the cartridge is that what that's becoming now?
Yeah, essentially,
it's
it's your license to.
it's, it's
Yeah, it
lame.
is. It sucks. It's not fun.
Yeah.
Um, he goes on to say that behavior is different from the Switch games that Nintendo currently sells in retail locations, which feature a download code instead of a physical cartridge. Those codes can only be used a single time and are connected to a specific Nintendo account, preventing them from being resold at a later date. Game key cards automatically trigger a game download when inserted into the Switch 2 console. Once the game is downloaded and installed, an internet connection is only required when you launch the game for the first time, according to the support
Yeah.
page of Nintendo's website. After that initial launch check, the game can be played without an internet connection as long as the game key cartridge is still inserted into the console. There you
All
go.
right. Everybody kind of has internet nowadays, and you can get like a mobile hotspot and all this kind of stuff. But
Yeah.
man, I still like the old school, no connected to the internet at all. Like, give me the Game Boy Advance again. Slide that cartridge in,
Yeah,
and you're
dude.
good to go.
Where's my plug and play? It don't exist anymore, man.
Never again.
Never again.
Dang, I was really hoping Nintendo would never do that. It's
Yeah.
kind of a shame.
Hmm.
Mm.
Say it's like these
All
original
right.
Switch consoles, like the dying era of fully physical kind of games.
Yeah, yeah, it's true.
Oh man.
Everything is now going 100% digital. Sooner or later, we're gonna have everything in the cloud. That's the next thing.
Yeah,
All the
that is
games saved to the cloud.
the next rung on the ladder. Yep.
Hmm.
The game key cards are an unusual format that merges digital game downloads and physical cartridges without quite solving the downsides to either format. Internet access is still required to download the games, and you still need the cartridges to play them. But as Nintendo of America president Doug Bowser explained to The Verge, the game keycards primarily benefit publishers, allowing them to sell physical copies of games at retail locations that may exceed the 64 gigabyte capacity of regular Switch 2 game cards. It's interesting to know. I didn't realize what the cap was. I was curious what it was.
Yeah,
64. It's like, okay. That's higher than I thought, honestly. I thought it was going to be like 40s, 50s, but all right.
64 kind of makes sense. And now that you think about it, you can get those like little tiny SD cards that are
So, yeah,
like
it's a good point. Yeah.
256 gigabytes.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, it's
But
stupid
I think
though.
that's like a different type of storage, right?
Yeah,
It's got to
I'm sure.
be,
Yeah,
yeah.
sure.
I have a
Um,
feeling the way pictures are stored and the way full on games and programs are stored isn't the same.
um,
I don't know much about it, to be honest.
I don't know either. I mean, it makes you wonder to that extent. It's like, could they just put a micro SD card in the cartridge? Problem solved.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel, right? But at the same time, it's like, ah, okay, man.
I don't know if it's that easy, but I mean, like, look, my non-engineering brain just goes like, "Oh, why don't you just do that? There you go, fixed."
Yeah,
Um, oh,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Who knows?
Yeah, it's
I
interesting. I mean, it's good to know that the game key cards aren't just complete like a one-off key. It's not that at
yes,
all. So it's kind of like you could still share them and stuff like that, and use them between consoles. So it's good to know, and that it's good to know that's how it still works.
I guess because if it's like a unique game code, well, in a way, I don't know how to say it. It's like it's so unfortunate that you have to verify everything through an internet connection, but the game key cartridge is still literal physical thing that you need to download the games. Oh, but it's gonna be such a shame if you can't, because like the Switch. Okay, so I'm thinking way too much right now. So the Switch has kind of limited bandwidth. It feels like when it's connected to Wi-Fi, especially like not everybody has the best internet in the world. So if you had to download everything online, that could take forever, man. Can really take a long time. Could you imagine downloading like all of Call of Duty to the Switch? It's like how many gigabytes is Call of Duty? Like 200 gigabytes? I don't think it's ever gonna get to that point, but if you wanna play something like Elden Ring, it could be like 50 gigs.
Yeah,
How long does that take? It with
yeah.
somebody with
Hmm.
trash internet?
It'll take a while.
Hours.
It's gonna take a while, possibly a whole
Yeah,
day.
that's gonna be a tough adjustment, I think,
Yeah.
for some people.
I know it's like fiber. I think fiber internet. I mean, it's not as much of a luxury as it used to be, but it still is kind of like so a lot of people
Oh,
that
it's
don't have access to it. So
well, there's only like, do you have fiber right now?
yeah, yeah, I do.
So I think fiber is really only available in either tourist destinations, tech hubs, or banking hubs, like where data transmission is like really important.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
like tourist destinations, I think is just more of like emergency case
yeah.
scenarios
I mean,
that
yeah,
are.
and I got lucky. The neighborhood I'm in is a newer development, so
Oh, that too. Yeah,
around the time it was, I think it was built. I think it was built around the time like fiber really started taking off, and it was kind
yeah.
of coming to more markets, and so one of the local providers actually for our area they ended up offering it like gosh 10, 8, 9, 10 years ago they started offering it, and so it's like grown kind of since, and
Oh
so
yeah, yeah.
now
When you start, yeah,
so
the
now a lot
network
of
gets better
areas,
over time
yeah,
when
now
you
a lot
start
of
really building it
areas
up.
are, yeah, it's like, and even like I know like my parents had the same provider, and for the longest time they just had like coax, and then I think it was a few years ago they actually got upgraded to fiber, and it was like a free upgrade, and they just went. They had to have tech people come in. They like ran one wire like, through the house, and they were
Yeah,
able to hook everything up. So it's pretty quick.
yeah. It is pretty quick. I think the Google Fiber. I think that came out like 2012, and then ever since that happened, because it depend on your area. They're really building out all the fiber optic lines.
Yeah,
Like they start in different areas of town for me in Charlotte. But over time, I think more and more people started offering it, like Verizon, then AT&T.
yeah,
Who else offers? I think even Spectrum is trying to offer fiber in certain locations,
yeah. I
but
mean, it wouldn't surprise me.
yeah, they're more of like a budget like ISP to me. But
Yeah, Spectrum is trash. I'll say it right here, right now.
yeah,
Sorry, Spectrum.
but yeah, facts. I mean, I'm on it right now. I'll say it with my chest. But
You get it.
I think it's going to be tough for people for a while. I'm glad that at least Nintendo's the last to adopt it. If they're going to, I'd prefer them to be the last ones. Let everybody else test it out, so when they come out, it's not as bad.
Yeah,
Probably
exactly.
what they're thinking.
They're not the early adopters. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I mean, it's a trend I think we expected to see, and sure enough, it's continuing.
Hmm.
And it's only going to get more cloudier, as they say, as we belong in the
Yeah. Get up
in,
in the IT stuff,
yeah,
IT talk.
yeah. Well, I mean, that's not all we have to report on Switch 2 stuff. Ain't that right,
No,
Mike? That's not all.
no, it is not. So this one's coming from NintendoLife.com. We covered tons of times. Liam Doolin is the writer of this article, and it's about the game chat that was premiered for the Switch 2 showcase. So Switch 2 game chat choppy frame rate explained by Nintendo is the name of the article. It's about ensuring the game experience is at its best. Interesting. Let's get into it. So, Nintendo's new game chat function opens up new ways for Switch 2 owners to communicate with friends and families online. But the early showcase of other players' screens showed some choppy frame rates. It turns out this is an intentional design choice to ensure game chat saves system resources for the games themselves. Switch 2 hardware director Takahiro Dota, forgive me if
I
I
like
messed
that.
up,
I like it.
the hardware director from Switch 2 told GameSpot via a translator how the team didn't want game chat's required resources to get in the way of the main game experience. So this is a quote. It looks like it's been translated um, from the hardware director. So obviously, chat is meant to run and work simultaneously and coincide with the game you're playing. But we also think it's critical that it doesn't get in the way of the game that's running right now. And so we wanted to definitely make sure we do. Sure, we do was. We definitely want to make sure we do was to make sure that running game chat alongside the game doesn't result in the game experience or quality being reduced at all in any way. The technical director, Sasaki, also mentioned how Nintendo wanted to keep the experience consistent between players, even if some players are in better online environments. Okay, I could see that. Based on the emphasis that we prioritize, obviously, if somebody is in a better environment, they're going to get better results in terms of their own experience. but we really wanted to make sure that more than anything, people had an equal or even playing field or even experience, rather, says the technical director. Along with this, Nintendo has factored in how games will evolve and potentially become more system intensive over time. That's a good point because I think the like the original Switch was getting to the point of exhaustion with what they were trying to accomplish on it. Remember how they
Yeah.
were resorting to cloud-based emulators
Yeah.
to do the like Resident Evil franchise, I think
Yeah.
it was.
Yeah. I remember that.
Um yeah, so I could see that being an issue. I also see like it's an interesting thought to try to keep the consistent experience across all your players and friends to just be if somebody's internet's crap, guess what? Everybody's internet's going to be crap. Not really, but like what you see.
Yeah.
To be quite honest, I didn't think it was that big of a deal with how bad the frame rates were. I thought it was kind of annoying, but if you can just deal with it, like you'll get used to it over time. And I don't know, is this game breaking for you
I
at
mean,
all, Kyle?
I mean, I don't think so. I think it's definitely the right move to prioritize the game experience of what you're playing over, seeing other people's screens because I don't think. I mean, it's cool to see other people's gameplay, but unless I guess unless you're trying to follow something closely, and even if you're trying to follow like a strategy someone's showing you in like Mario or something like that, like
Yeah.
it's cool to see that. I think there's enough kind of frames where you could at least piece together what the person's doing as they explain it. So, I mean, if you
I
wanted to
think that
practically use it, I think you could, but
yeah, it kind of reminds me of like I think the entire intention is to show you enough information so that you can understand what's going on and you can be a part of like communication with people. I would prefer if it's the webcam, I would prefer at least 30 frames per second. But if it's like 15 frames per second on the gameplay in a small window off the corner of my screen, I don't really care. It doesn't affect
yeah,
me.
yeah,
It's just kind of a like convenience to see. What I really want to know is the camera that they were showcasing, for the Switch, one, just, like, how much does it actually cost? Does it come with a bundle of the actual console itself? No different than the dock. That's something like a side effect, but the quality of that camera, which looked good, but the frame rate as well, the tracking software, the noise cancellation with the controller, and how that all integrates when I'm playing something like Mario Party, and I get to see this, like, little bubble where I can see my friend's face while
yeah.
I'm playing. Because if I can see them in at least 30 frames per second where they're moving around like this and they're, like, getting
Yeah.
animated,
Yeah.
that will just oh, man, because 'cause I'm gonna do things to just, I know it's gonna upset them. Like, playing certain games like Mario Party, and you
Yeah.
can totally screw somebody over without them really expecting it. I just wanna, like, "Oh, I'm gonna get you," and then, like, I'll make the decision and immediately look in the corner for them. And, like,
Yeah.
gotta see that IRL reaction.
Yeah.
And it can make fantastic streaming content as well.
Yeah, really
It
good.
reminds me of, lockdown era, Uno with Ninja,
Yeah.
Tim the Tatman. Who else
It
was
was like
it?
maybe
Courage?
yeah, his courage or
And
Cloaksy or something like that. Or
I don't think it was Cloaksy. Who's the other guy who's on Twitch and he switched over to YouTube? He's like a really well-known YouTuber. You know him. He's like relatively clean cut,
clean cut.
super smart guy, very entertaining guy.
I've seen Nick
I can't
Merckx,
remember.
but I don't
It's not Nick Merckx. Merckx is kind of a jerk, and he only really plays like COD. What I'm talking about is
True,
like
yeah.
this guy does. He does charities all the time. Like all the time, he was doing charities. Just all
Dang.
around
I
really
don't
good
know.
dude.
I'm drawing a
Keeps to
blank too. I
himself,
don't know.
family man. I wish I could figure out what it was. Anyways, those guys playing with
Oh,
their cams and
Lupo? Is that
stuff
you're
like
talking
that.
Dr. Lupo?
Yes, Lupo, Dr. Lupo.
There
Yeah,
you go, yeah. Family
yeah.
Man, that's
I
what I
think it was those four playing Uno together. They were sweating. So much fun.
the jump ins and stuff. I
Oh
love those
yeah, dude,
things.
it was cool. I want that kind of experience with the Switch too, and I would very much
Man.
like it if everybody. I mean, it is the resources of the console itself that's actually the limiting factor. But if you can have everybody have multiple Switches and you're all next to each
Yeah.
other and somehow integrate that, that'd be really cool too.
Yeah. That would be pretty sick. Yeah, I mean, there's certainly a lot of opportunities with this. So
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, let's see more in action. I don't. personally have a problem with like, oh, we're showing other people's gameplay. It's not going to be 60 FPS. I think most people probably expected that anyway. So I think to hear
Oh
Nintendo's
yeah,
explanation of like, no, we want to prioritize the actual person playing their own game first before
of
we
course.
show anyone
Yeah,
else's. I think it's a smart move. So it makes sense.
dude. Quite honestly, when I'm playing, like, it's kind of a Discord effect. Remember, we had that initial reaction when we saw it. It was like very
Yeah.
similar to Discord,
Yeah.
and I was excited because it's like when I use Discord and I was watching other people's like POVs and I was asking them to stream to me, I would reduce the frame rate.
Yeah.
Like just right off the bat, just like, hey, I don't want to see crazy high resolution. I want to see enough that I know where you are on the map.
Yeah.
That
Exactly.
kind of that's like all I really cared about.
Yeah. Turned down to 720, dude. That's all I need.
Precisely, dude.
Don't need no 1440p. But yeah. No.
Hmm.
I just see it. I mean, I think it's cool. I mean, I will say it's interesting that obviously you're using like NVIDIA technology to like cut out, do green screens and noise cancellation for the mics and stuff like that. I'll be curious to see how that looks with the gameplay and everything, and kind of see. I mean, I'm sure it's all sort of going to be choppy, so to speak, but I think it's cool that they're at least trying to integrate some of those NVIDIA technologies to make it a little more pleasing to see other people's gameplay and their faces, and so I think it's pretty cool.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to it, and it's just something to be excited about.
Yeah, for sure, dude. I mean, look, I'm certainly excited to see more Switch 2. I'm excited for reviews. We're just a few months away, a couple months away, I guess at this point. So,
Yeah,
yeah, looking forward to
it's
it.
gonna be good when it hits, though.
Oh yeah, for sure. You know what else? A couple months away, Mike. You know what else?
Oh, it's there's two things happening. They're like back to back if you think about it.
Yeah,
First one is Xbox,
yeah,
which we're about to talk about, and then the one after that is the Summer Games Fest.
very true.
Or are they one and the same? I can't
Yeah, I
remember
mean,
which one's I mean, they're both in June.
they're both same week, right? So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, I mean, typically, I want to say Xbox actually does theirs after the main presentation usually. So we'll find out because we're about to talk about it right now about when
Hell
Xbox
yeah,
can
let's
host
get
theirs.
it.
So Xbox's next major game showcase streams in June. It's just a few days after the Switch 2's planned launch. It's from Andrew Webster, once again at The Verge. Andrew said, it's looking like another busy summer of gaming news. Microsoft just announced the next Xbox Game Showcase live stream, which will take place on June 8th at 1 p.m. Eastern. The company says that the event will include a look at upcoming titles from across our first-party studios, in addition to incredible new titles from our third-party partners across the globe. And after the event wraps up, there will be a second stream focused entirely on, does anyone want to guess right now? It is The Outer Worlds 2. No one probably would have guessed that. They're going to do it.
There's no way I would have.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to it though.
yeah.
That's the funny thing.
Yeah, this game is set to launch later this year. It's interesting. I mean, thinking back to the older kind of Xbox showcases, I mean, we had, I think 2023, we had Starfield. That was just a few months out after the showcase. So that was kind of the major Xbox title for that year. Um, Gosh, I'm trying to remember what it was last year. I should have looked it up beforehand. But I'm pretty sure they had a showcase last year. Drawing a blank though on what it was. Typically
The
do
showcase
like,
last year I thought was no. I thought it was Fable, but they didn't really do anything with that. What was it?
dude, I don't know. I'm like drawing a blank because they did a show. I'm pretty sure they did a showcase last year separately afterwards, but I'm trying to remember what it was. I
They
can't remember
did.
what it was. Anyways, but yeah, so this year's Outer Worlds 2 is going to be the main game. It's interesting because it seems like it's always a big title that they do like the main showcases for. It's like, oh, here's our big upcoming title for the year. So
Hold on, let's see if I can find it.
yeah, if you could find it, please let me know. But I will continue on. Last year's showcase included major announcements. And my talk about right here included major announcements covering games like Perfect Dark, Doom, The Dark Ages, and Starfield. In addition to Outer Worlds sequel, 2025 edition will likely include more about the next Call of Duty and other holiday games. Maybe it was COD. I think it might have been Call of Duty.
Yeah, COD Black Ops 6. I think it was COD.
I think it was COD.
But was it?
Because I mean, it makes sense because like COD was like, oh, it's on Game Pass, and so like everyone was like freaking out because it was coming to Game Pass, so they had to like do the whole thing. I remember now. We probably won't see much, if anything, of Fable, which will be delayed to 2026. Doom: The Dark Ages, meanwhile, launches in May, so maybe we'll hear about future updates or expansions for id's dark fantasy shooter. The Xbox Games Showcase is one of the several events filling in the gap left by E3's demise. It'll be preceded by the now annual Summer Games Fest on June 6th. Of course, the big news happening in June will be the launch of Nintendo Switch's next console on June 5th, provided the Switch 2 doesn't end up delayed, that is. So yeah, it's I think it's interesting. Xbox, it's like it's like I said, I mean, in the past, so last year was Call of Duty. They did this separate showcase for after. Year before was Starfield. This year it's Outer Worlds 2, which I'm not saying is not a big title. I mean, I think for Obsidian, it's a big a big title for them, and it's Xbox Studio. So I think it's I'm excited to see. There was actually some gameplay that IGN I think showed exclusively this week. I watched a little bit of it. I didn't see the whole thing, but
Yeah, Xbox and IGN's like partnership is usually intertwined pretty
yeah,
well. It seems like IGN gets a lot of the exclusivities.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. Dude, do you happen to know how many subs IGN has on YouTube? It's insane.
on IGN was one of the first adopters on YouTube, actually. So
That's
if I had
insane.
to guess, it's probably so it would be okay. So they attract all PC, Xbox, PlayStation, and Nintendo. It's got to be above 25 million, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. It's definitely higher. It's
There's
like
60
yeah, that's
million.
not that high. I want to say when I
Yeah, it was like
last checked, it was 39. I think so. It's like
okay, because
so. It's yeah, it's up
yeah,
there.
I'm a YouTube connoisseur, so you can't tell me. Um,
Yeah,
I
it's
remember
it's crazy.
IGN. IGN was one of the first ones I remember watching because Machinima was taken
Yeah,
over during that time.
yeah.
By the way, the last own showcase was Call of Duty Black
It
Ops 6.
was. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's always a big game with this. I mean, again, Outer Worlds 2, I think is certainly a big title for them. But it's also like it's just it would have been sick if we would have seen like a Fable or like they and which they still could announce an Oblivion remake, Elder
Mm.
Scrolls 4. That it could still happen. So I'll be
Yeah, I
keeping
think
an eye out
so.
for that. But I mean, yeah, just like I mean, see the Outer Worlds 2 kind of get its own showcases. It's also, I mean, obviously rooting for Obsidian. I know they just released Avowed. That's gosh, almost 2 months ago now.
Yeah,
It's coming up on that, but yeah, so
it is crazy.
yeah, that's coming out. I mean, yeah, but seeing something like a Fable, or like even like if we got like a showcase on the new Gears. Can't remember if
Mhm.
that's this year or next year, but yeah, it would have been cool to see something like that. So I mean, I don't know. I think it's kind of telling about it's probably the big game Xbox and Microsoft's pushing this year is Outer Worlds 2. So I'm still
Yeah,
excited to see kind of that showcase. I'll definitely be watching it and try to get my thoughts. But yeah, I don't know, dude. Showcase season. You already know it's one of the more exciting weeks for this show throughout the year. So just excited
yeah,
to
I
see
get very
more.
excited every time there's a showcase. I'm excited. Nintendos are pretty good, and honestly, like PlayStations, the last couple of years have been absolute bangers.
Oh yeah,
If you really like break it down, they're pretty solid as well.
yeah. I mean, dude, we're starting to get to the point in this generation where it's like, all right, a lot of these big games have been cooking, and so there's a lot of
Hmm.
announcements and a lot of like updates that a lot of people are excited for, including me and some of the bigger titles. So yeah, dude, I'm hyped.
Yeah,
Hyped.
there's a couple of games that I'm really looking forward to seeing in the Xbox showcase. One, I want to see Perfect Dark, or at least like the next Perfect Dark of whatever they got going on. I want to see something from there. I want to see Mecha Break, which is the I'm like so big into it, like the Gundam Warrior, like space robots fighting each other, doing crazy stuff. I'm really looking forward to that, seeing how that plays out. Um, yeah, I want to see something new but also old because Splinter Cell looked really solid. It could look like a rebirth of the franchise and the IP. And then what do you think? Eventually, maybe we'll get some Splinter Cell.
I mean, I
I mean,
every
Ubisoft
showcase,
is
every
right around that
showcase,
time.
every showcase,
Yeah.
Mike. I'm always praying. We'll see the
Yeah.
3 light goggles, dude. It's praying.
And then
Trying
every
to
showcase, it's like, oh, here's Assassin's Creed for the 20th time.
We're working on Assassin's Creed Hexe. Are you
Yeah,
excited?
and then check out this really cool new story we've been working on. And it's just like a rehashed version of any Nintendo Fable.
Yeah.
or not Nintendo, like Disney or something, or whatever. They're something brothers, the Grimm brother, no Brothers Grimm. You ever
It's
the
grim.
original writers of like the people who inspired Hansel and Gretel, like Snow White.
Mm.
Um, yeah, yeah. Nintendo, like Disney, basically ripped off all those stories, by the way, and then put like a kid-friendly spin on it.
I mean, it won't
If
surprise.
it works, it works.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, exactly. If it works, it works. I don't know. I'm excited to possibly hear more about GTA. Could be I know like Rockstar's not synonymous with
Yeah.
like trying to kind of go with these showcases. But maybe this time they'll just be like, all right, let's show another trailer, and then at the end we'll say, well, show 2025 crossed out 2026.
Yeah.
Fat delay. No,
Yeah.
hope
I could
not.
see Phil
But
Spencer in like behind the scenes going to Rockstar whenever he can. Just like, how much money do we have to give you to announce GTA 6 at the Xbox showcase?
oh man,
Yeah.
because
Could
you
you
already
imagine?
know they ain't putting it on Game Pass. You already know. There's no
Oh,
way
no
they're gonna miss out on all that
chance.
money, dude. Right then.
No
And see,
chance. They're gonna hit us with Nintendo prices, bro.
literally Nintendo. Everyone was like, "Yo, GTA, that's where we're going to get the $80-$90 game. That's when it's gonna happen. Rockstar's gonna
No,
reset
you
the
want this new
market."
Mario Kart?
And then Nintendo's like,
$90.
"Hey, yo, Mario Kart. Yeah, I know, yo, dumb you finna, finna pay this
That's
kind of price for
100% what it
Mario
was like.
Kart. I know you all about to pay this." So there's like, bam, $90. Have fun, and
And then
people will
you're
pay
right.
it. And people are already waiting out, camping for the Nintendo Switch too. So it's happening. They're just gonna gobble it up. You know? Just crazy. Just crazy, dude.
Yep. It is absolutely insane, man.
Yeah, true.
All right,
No,
should we hit the next,
so
actually the
competitive,
last one?
competitive gaming.
Competitive gaming. Honestly, this is like a short and sweet episode. If you made it this far, remember to check the description below and you can actually see where we have links in the description and timestamps. So if you want to check out everything that we've been covering, you can do that readily available. Just want to give that quick shout out because I usually do the shout out at the end of the episode, but since we're a short episode, we might get some new people. I don't know how you are, but when you see like an hour and a half long video, it's like, dang man, that's a that's a cinema. So
Yeah, it's like I immediately look at that little play the cogwheel on YouTube 2 times
yeah.
or like 1.5 like, immediately.
Oh, you're a goat for that. I always forget. All right, let's get into it. So, BBC. I don't think we've ever covered a BBC article here. We've covered like Forbes, we covered Business
Oh
Insider,
man,
and
I
a
don't know.
couple other ones.
I
I
feel like
think
we
even
have.
Wall Street Journal at one point. Definitely like during the legality battle that was the acquisition of Activision Blizzard.
Yeah.
We definitely covered stuff like that. Anyways, so this title of the article is Esports degree is more than gaming, says university. Alice Cunningham and Wayne Bavin wrote this article at the BBC News in Suffolk. So, let's go. A new esports degree will enable students to learn new skills, and it's in quotes, through the medium of video games, its course leader said. The University of Suffolk in Ipswich announced last year it would be launching a cutting edge degree in competitive video gaming. A £1.6 million renovation is currently underway to transform a vacant building in Long Street into a home for the course. Charlie Smith, a course leader for the BA uh, Bachelor's of Arts honors course, said the first students would be joining in September. And then there's a picture of a very excited course leader, Charlie Smith. He goes on to say, one of the things we don't teach you to do is play video games because they're already doing that in their free time. They're already far better than we are, Mr. Smith explained. What degrees like this do is teach you transferable and technical skills through the passion of video gaming. On a course like this, with its live streaming and business management and marketing skills, these are skills we can take to other industries such as traditional events, traditional broadcasting, and sport as well. We can take that knowledge and experience, but we're learning that through the medium of video games. And they keep showing a bunch of different renderings of essentially the University of Suffolk's new, honestly, like a land design or course management system. So Mr. Smith said that the gaming industry was absolutely massive and was only expected to grow. The gaming industry itself is worth more than film, TV, and media combined. So universities need to be responsive to the changing market both nationally and internationally. So Mr. Smith, who has worked in the industry for 10 years, explained that the building had been on the campus for quite a few decades and was undergoing a full internal refurbishment. The university has released CGI images of what the facility will look like once complete, ahead of September's cohort of students. The building will include a combination of teaching and recreational spaces, including more than 40 gaming spec PCs, a professional grade broadcast gallery, and a live studio purpose built for broadcasting and live streaming. Students will be given hands on gaming experience and will be taught skills that include managing live streamed events, live and online broadcasting experience, digital marketing skills, and more, the university said. What's your take, Kyle? Are you in? Are you out?
I'm all in, dude. Yeah, I think this is
Heck yeah.
I think this is sick. Any opportunity to teach more about the space and kind of, I think, I mean, it's always cool to see new programs and stuff introduced to schools and kind of new opportunities to learn different
Yeah.
avenues and different degrees and stuff like that. So, I mean, I think it's always exciting. But to see something in gaming, again, like they said in the article, I mean, there's so many people that already do it as a hobby and love it. So, I mean, if you
Exactly.
draw those people in to learn more about the industry and kind of, especially if you want to go into esports and kind of learn about, logistics and stuff like that, I think it's a great opportunity. So, I mean, I gotta give it up to them, man. Uh, these people across the pond, man, they're ahead of the curve. Some of this stuff, I feel like. I mean, obviously we have
They,
programs here. We have scholarship programs and stuff in the U.S. For certain games. So I mean, it certainly exists, but I think it's cool.
yeah, I think it's a better way to handle the esports industry in terms of like getting an education. Whereas in the States, it's predominantly focused on taking the franchise model that the States have and MLB, NHL, NBA, all these like national sports leagues and moving that over to esports. It doesn't work like pretty much at all. And the business of it is just broken. So if you're learning that in the States, it's not going to be good. Whereas in Europe, what he's concentrating on, and I'll give you a perfect example of this. Um, one of the courses like this is what he said. On a course like this, with this live streaming and business management and marketing skills, these are skills we can talk to other industries or take to other industries as traditional events, traditional broadcasting, and sport as well. So sports broadcasting, yeah, of course, you can do analytics, you can be a sports talk show host, you can just yap about whatever you want. That's kind of what we do, uh, just yapping. But in terms of like taking the skills of properly setting up live streaming, business management, like marketing yourself, setting up a business around your own personal brand, I've seen this happen plenty of times. And if you go on LinkedIn, you'll see it perfectly shown. You'll find segments, not just YouTube, because it's a little bit different. On YouTube, it can be kind of like clickbaity and it's a little bit more light content. But on LinkedIn, you can get really specific in industries and you can get industry experts doing essentially lectures almost for free, like actually pretty much for free. But on LinkedIn, they go viral because nobody's doing that right now.
Yeah,
They'll have like full gaming ish setups like this, but then they'll be talking about like high level thermodynamics and heat transfer in different buildings.
yeah,
And it's really cool because it's like I'm used to seeing that when people are complaining about their car not starting. Or, like or complaining that there's a new update for Overwatch
yeah,
or like yeah, it's just different. Um, it's very interesting. So you can 100% change like take your skills of live streaming, business management. I mean, you're really just doing presentation skills and interaction and keeping an audience engaged.
yeah. It's true.
And that is a really freaking hard skill, I think.
Yeah.
How many times do you log into people's live streams and they ignore chat
Oh
all
yeah.
day, every day?
Yeah, it's horrible. I mean, there's no
Uh,
structure. Kind of just like,
Yeah,
I mean, I guess it's a little bit different. It's like you're straight up gaming, but also like if you want to be a good streamer, I mean, it definitely can help your presentation skills and just help your kind of like
100%.
just ability to sort of command a room and kind of adjust conversations and kind of keep
Yeah,
people on
yeah,
track,
yeah.
sort of thing. So yeah, there's a lot of skills to be learned with that can be very helpful in the workplace. So I mean, and the thing with LinkedIn too. I mean, that's yeah. I mean, like all the video techniques and all that we see on like YouTube and Twitch and all that,
Oh
and
yeah.
kind of everything. Like, yeah, there's really like there's I think I mean I don't know, I haven't perused like much LinkedIn content recently, but I know not long ago it was very wasn't much good content. It's like and it was kind of just like it was just text posts for the most part. Um, no, I mean have
It
seen
was.
I have
Yeah.
like in coding and stuff like that. I have seen some like videos about like oh here's how I did this, and they're well put together, and they
Yeah,
explain kind of
like
the
they're
processes. But
it's
um,
almost like it's story-driven content, which is
yeah.
a thing that always draws people in,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Which
you
I
know?
think, I mean, it's a great tool, and I think, and generally when people post stuff like that, I mean, it gets like a lot of interaction because people love it.
Oh, 100%,
So
yeah. Yeah, I mean, because really it's like LinkedIn is probably one of the few social media websites you could be on in an office job where you won't get yelled at by HR.
yeah,
Because they're
yeah,
all on it, like they're all on it. Marketing's all on it.
mm,
All the managers are on it. You can connect with them and stuff. I find it very, very annoying that a lot of the LinkedIn posts that I see that do go viral is just HR stroking their own egos towards each other. That's or like hiring managers and recruiters like, guys, chill out. But then when I do see people in my industry get up there and they start talking about their new pieces of equipment and how it works and like why it's better than the competitor. Sometimes they don't even say that. They're just like, this is what we're working on. This is going to change the industry. This is really cool. I'm excited. Like, did you ever watch on the History Channel and Discovery Channel? I'm older than you, but it used to be that you would have like a science channel or some type of segment, and one of the coolest one they had was like engineering, how it's made, and they would
dude,
just pick out any random thing. They'd just be
yeah,
like, how I don't know how LED lights are made,
yeah,
and
yeah,
then you would go down to they would take you to where they like grind down the
yeah,
materials from the
dude,
earth to
yes, dude,
in the factory, and somebody putting that sucker into an outlet and it works,
yeah.
you
I've
know?
seen I mean, they did. I think they did it with like technology or like industrial equipment, but they also. I think
Exactly,
they
yeah.
did the same thing with like food though, didn't they? They would like show like
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Twinkies
yeah.
and stuff like that, like how to make
Yeah,
Twinkies and like
yeah,
I
they would show
remember
you,
that.
like, what how Twinkies made or how, like, a donut's made,
Yeah, exactly.
and they
Yeah,
would
like
go
mass
into,
produce.
where did they get the flour? Where did they
Yeah,
get the dough? Where
yeah,
did they get the sugars? Like, it
yeah,
was really cool, and I think that was that show in particular was so amazing because it really gave you a world perspective of where things come from
yeah,
in your everyday life, and it
yeah,
made you think, and I thought those episodes were really cool. I'm starting to see that, like, back to the point, I'm starting to see that on, like, LinkedIn, but in a format that is no different than you and I talking, like a
yeah,
podcast,
yeah,
and it's really cool. I've been watching stuff like that on YouTube for ages, but it's been more, like, less tech heavy, less industry heavy, like, less
yeah.
niche. It was more like I don't even know. Like just people complaining or showing me how like my team is playing bad at football and going into detail. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
it's really cool. I like what I'm seeing, and I'm patiently waiting until we get true artists on LinkedIn.
yeah,
Right now, it's just all business minded people. The artists seem to be on Blue Sky. I don't know if you get on there at all. Going on Blue Sky
mm,
is really cool because you get
yeah,
really cool content of people just making beautiful things and taking really cool pictures. I need that on LinkedIn though.
yeah.
I
I
need
mean,
to
yeah.
see
I think
I need to
people. I
see
mean,
stuff like that too.
see people showcase their work. Could be a good way to do it.
I want to see a day in the life of a music producer that's dealing with like three different albums from Grammy award winning artists.
Dude, it's
I want to see what that's like,
dude,
you know.
yeah, see, I'm a sucker for that. Seeing the production, like, also I've seen so many documentaries about like, from either my favorite bands or just like producers and kind of how they craft songs, but then like they talk about like logistics and stuff like that of like that industry,
Mhm.
and it's yeah, all that stuff's fascinating. So I'd love to
You need to
see.
check out the Avicii uh,
Oh yeah, yeah,
documentary,
yeah.
by the
Yeah,
way.
no, that's definitely on my list. I want to see that. For sure. Um, I don't know. I may even start with that tonight before I go to bed. I don't know. I want something good to watch,
Honestly, you
so
should.
something
Yeah, it's a really, really,
check out.
really, really good show.
But yeah, no, it's
Yeah,
cool
but
to see that.
I think this is. Sorry, were you gonna say
No,
something?
I mean, I was gonna tailor that back to video games too. I mean, we see all the documentaries in the big studios and kind of the
Oh
process of
yeah,
how they
yeah.
made like big games and like a
Your
lot of
boy
Sony
Jason
studios.
Schreier writing books about it too.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's yeah, I mean, yeah, Jason Schreier's books are phenomenal too about kind of talking about like some like well-known games, but also some games that eventually ended up actually getting canceled. But he started writing kind of their process, and then
Yeah.
eventually it was like, oh well, the game got canceled. So
Yeah. No,
it happens,
RIP.
yeah. But
Sometimes
yeah,
sometimes just throw it away. I mean, I've designed plenty of buildings,
yeah,
and then sure enough, at the end, the owner's just like, "Nah, I fell out of love with that idea. We're just gonna start over."
yeah, it happens, dude.
It's like, yeah,
It's that failure, I guess you could say. But
yeah,
it just
it's pretty
happens.
interesting. I would very much like to know more about this program. I want to know more about Charlie over here. Honestly, I might go on LinkedIn and see if I can find him.
Yeah,
Uh,
dude.
I think I think this is more less about esports in general. Like, I was expecting more of the business side with like orgs, how the leagues are functioned, how to run tournaments. Like that is really, really difficult to do. There's
Yeah,
only like a handful of people that actually do it and do it at a large scale and effectively.
yeah. I actually do it
Like
well.
that's yes, it's not easy work. So I'm curious if the course has anything to do with that, or is it all content driven? Because everybody wants to be like a YouTuber or a content creator now, especially like the younger generations. It's a lot of work, and I don't think a lot of people understand that.
Yeah,
I'm
I've
curious
certainly met that
if
reality. It's one of those things
yeah,
that I think with any sort of like art at all, I mean, you really have to enjoy it, I think, to find success because it's a lot of failure to get there. And so if it's easy
yeah,
to for a lot of people to just give up. And even I to a certain extent kind of just set it down eventually because I was like, yeah, I just wasn't enjoying it. So,
yeah, dude, the never ending crap that you and I both have going on with work. It's
yeah.
like, when do we start making clips? When do we start posting? It's just like what I really do like about the podcast is you and I get to just sit down. We get to catch up once a week. We're
Yeah.
friends. We get to see how each other are doing.
Yeah.
Yap about video games, something we're passionate about.
Yeah.
And it's fun.
I mean, yeah, dude. At the end of the day, I love the industry, so
Yeah,
purely enjoy doing this because I feel like I'm caught up in the industry and kind of what's going on. So
yeah. That's actually a good point. Have you experienced at any point in like the last couple of years since you've joined me on the pod with people start talking to you about different things that are going on with video games because they know you're passionate about it, or
yeah,
maybe them themselves are gamers, and you're just like, "Yeah, I knew about this like 6 months ago. I've been like
yeah,
in the loop this whole time." Have
yeah.
you had that
It's
yet?
definitely happened a couple times where it's like, yeah,
Oh yeah,
they're talking about something like, and like I'll stop for a second because I was like, I feel like I've known this for months, but like I
yeah,
don't.
yeah,
Sometimes I don't even say it. I'll just go along with the conversation. It's like, oh yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Because you have to, because
yeah,
they're it's new to them,
yeah,
so don't ruin
exactly,
it. You know,
exactly.
it's like
Yeah.
yeah,
No, yeah,
yeah,
it's happened a few times, but yeah, no, I mean, I enjoy talking about the industry any chance I get. So, um, it's good to stay up to date. But yeah, I mean,
yeah,
it's I don't know, it's something even from as long as I've been gaming, it's always I don't know why I'm so fixated on behind the scenes stuff, but it's like any major industry, it's like eventually I get to the rabbit hole of okay, like how is this stuff actually made, what goes into it, kind of thing. So,
yeah, dude.
and it's I don't know, I've
It's
always been fascinated by video game industry. So
I'm so fascinated by it too. Dude, this esports degree too. Like, there's an entire production team in the
yeah,
background that are like switching POVs, zooming in on people's reactions and faces.
mm,
You gotta be sure you don't mess up. You can't like, especially a game like CS:GO or CS2.
yeah,
There's like an infamous moment. I should send you a link to it where somebody. It might have even been simple. Got like the most ridiculous triple in the game and it wasn't caught on VOD because
dude.
the camera person didn't have him selected when it was going off.
Oh
He had
man.
somebody next to him selected instead,
Yeah,
and
dude.
the whole thing was missed, and it set, like, people online into a frenzy because if you're in the arena, you could see everybody's POV on the giant screen.
Yeah, right.
So they saw it, but
Yeah.
there were a good handful of people who didn't.
Like, why are you
So
not showing it? Yeah, that's crazy.
It's called like the simple event or something like the simple instant. Like I don't even remember. I don't even know for sure if it was simple. I'm just using that as an
Yeah,
example.
yeah. I know. I mean, and before we get off this topic, I know with like talking about behind the scenes stuff. I know like a couple of the Halo events I went to a few years ago. I would get the little kind of VIP package where they take you behind and kind of
Yeah,
show you
yeah, you did.
everything, and
Yeah.
it was really cool to actually see all that and kind of. I think one point that I didn't even think about was I know they have like I believe they have DDoS protection on a lot of their equipment,
Oh
like
yeah,
servers and stuff, especially when they're streaming
all
out.
of them.
And yeah, I mean
Yeah.
they talk about they get when they do these events, they're always getting people trying to take it
attacked.
down and try to DDoS them and stuff. So it's
It's so messed up.
yeah. So they
To be
actually
honest,
there's a lot of protection needed.
it's their fault though. In a game like Halo,
Mm,
Halo Infinite, the monitor title, they have this whole thing where you still have to be connected to a dedicated server. It's like an always online kind of game
yeah,
where you have to be connected to the dedicated server, and it's not even like real LAN. It's like all of you guys are on the same network that's then connected to a dedicated server, which means that everything that you play is accessible on the internet. So that's
it's
what you're
crazy.
trying to see. It's like they're trying to DDoS Microsoft Azure or Azure servers.
No,
And it's like that's not gonna work. Good
that's
luck. That's called a
crazy.
federal crime, bro. Yeah.
Oh man, you think these
That's
Russians
what
care, Mike? You think they care, bro?
dude dude, one day, eventually, Microsoft will wise up and at least give people the tools to create their own dedicated servers on games.
Right, John
There are
Teddy,
plenty of games that do it. For
John
some reason,
Teddy.
these Microsoft IPs, they're just like, nah, no daddy for you. It's like, come on, man, just give me a daddy tool, please.
Something,
Like,
man.
yeah, you need to allow people the option to play LAN, like true LAN, however which way they see fit. Build your own ecosystem for the game, and it's like stuck. There's like no way it can be hacked because it's not connected to the internet. It's all
Yeah,
localized. That's what it should
yeah.
be.
In an ideal world, ideal world.
Yeah. Yeah, but we got to verify that you have the license to the game because we don't give out physical copies anymore.
Yeah, because you're done with the game and DRM. Get
Yeah, shout out
screwed, dude.
Nintendo.
It's crazy out here, man.
All right. I think we're pretty close to our limit. So, thank you guys for listening in. Do you have anything to add, Kyle, before we let the people go? Short and sweet.
Oh man, yeah, short and sweet one this week. I guess we can go ahead and say we'll have a little bit of a spring break because
Oh
we no
yeah, that's
episode
right.
next week, so
Yeah, thank you
taking a
for
week
that.
off.
I honestly forgot. Yeah, so next week I'm going out of the country and I'm moving this week. So my whole plan is move this week, get everything set up, pack my bags, ship off, and then I'm gone for like a week. Like
Yeah.
quite literally Wednesday to Tuesday. Um it's mostly because it's international and it's 5 hour time difference and the travel is brutal.
Oh yeah.
Uh yeah, but I will be back and Kyle, you and I can really like we're gonna have to kind of float it. I'm aiming for the usual recording time, but if we need to push it one day, I'll let you know.
Yeah, just let me
Um,
know. Pretty flexible
yeah,
with it, so yeah. But yeah, so bit of a. I mean, I think it's good. I mean, I was saying before we recorded too. I think it's good to have this next week off, especially with like the cadence of particles and stuff. And then minus the Switch 2 news. I mean, it's been pretty
it's been dead.
pretty mellow.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I think taking a week off is probably good. I think all around, and we'll just again. I'm calling it the spring break, so just
yeah.
get an
It
episode
kind
off.
of is. Yeah,
But
maybe we
yeah.
should try to play for that. Like every April, just like the second week of April. It's like we'll chill for a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I
Uh,
know I'd floated you the idea, I think, at one point about doing like, a bit of a summer break or something like that, or, in like July or something in that kind of dead period after,
yeah, like
Game
right
Awards and stuff
after the
like
Summer
that.
Games
Yeah,
Fest.
exactly.
Yeah,
After Summer Games Fest and stuff, it's a bit of a
yeah,
lull in
it
that
does
July
die
month.
down
So,
big time. Yeah, I
yeah,
feel like everybody just essentially goes on holiday and they're like out of the beach. There's like a lake or
exactly. Yeah.
something,
Yeah, dude.
chilling,
It's
not doing much.
summertime, dude. Everyone's out doing stuff. But I don't know. Yeah, we'll
Yes,
see.
sir.
We'll see how that shakes out. But yeah, do a little break every now and then.
All right, cool. Well, that's a good update right there. Thank you for reminding me, Kyle. And without further ado, we'll let everybody go. If again, to remind everybody, if you made it this far, links are in the description below of all the articles that we covered. They're tiny URLs. You can check them out. There's also timestamps if you want to come back for later, and social media accounts if you want to just reach out to us and give us suggestions or just talk to us, whatever you want to do. But we appreciate you guys for tuning in. This has been the MT Podcast. I'm Michael Anthony. That's Kyle Heath. And we will see you guys next week. Have a good one. Well, actually, 2 weeks. Sorry. 2 weeks. We'll see you in. So enjoy the next week or so, and we'll see you soon. Bye.
I have a good
Peace
spring
out.
break.